It is just really great that you are here. Clearly, Hamilton's next mayor is on your mind, and you've come to see who can talk the talk before one of them gets to walk the walk. We've got 7 of the 12 candidates with us, as you can see up here. Each is very serious about becoming the next mayor of your fine city. Now, here are the rules. Very soon, each candidate will give a 30-second self-introduction. Then we're going to move to the Q&A. Questions are going to be drawn out of that fine-looking piece of china there by each candidate. When you draw your question out, please read the number first, and this will allow Amy to put the question up on the big screen. Are we good with that? In terms of timing, it is 90 seconds maximum. And over here, we have Nicholas. And when Nicholas, you're going to have a sore arm by the end of this, I can imagine. At the 10-second mark, you know you've got 10 seconds to wrap up. If you keep going, I will cut you off. Not at the neck, but somehow. Because this is an information session. It is not a Netflix miniseries that we're creating here. And we're going to keep rotating through until we hit the hour, and we'll call the hour about 10 past midday. And really importantly, and hopefully, and it will be respected, no interjections from the floor. This is an opportunity for the candidates to have their say without any heckling. You can leave all of that heckling for the big rugby match tonight. Sideline, thunder and wind and storm for the All Blacks Wallabies match, Mount Eden. So let's start with the introductions. We're going to start here, and once you're on your feet, the timer will begin. Thank you.
Jack Gielan, father, mother, protector of the city. Yeah, I'm standing because I see the youth have no future, and participatory democracy is very important to me. Against the overspending, the debt needs to be dealt with, working with businesses and this sort of thing. Business development, we need to reduce the red tape because businesses are not doing too well in the current environment. And also community consultation. I'm also about clinics and so forth. Okay, thank you. Vote for Jack Gielan.
Kia ora everyone, my name's Tim McIndoe. I'm standing both for Mayor and in the East Ward. I'm sorry it's not a Netflix session because I think the pay would have been better. I would like to be able to lead a team that delivers better governance for the city, that eliminates wasteful expenditure, and there's quite a few examples of that, ensure that we protect and deliver our core services very, very well so that this is a city that we can all be proud of for our future generations.
Thank you, Tim.
Kia ora, I'm John McDonald. So I have a science background. As a scientist, I lectured to engineers at the university as my last major job. I'm here because repeatedly council staff are exaggerating the benefits of projects, hiding the downsides. This leads to projects people don't want, which are obscenely expensive. And I want to simplify the city, make bureaucracy less complicated and less expensive. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Head for detail, heart for Hamilton. My name is Rachel Corrales. Hamilton is the community that shaped me and the community that I now seek to serve. My father was a respiratory physician at Waikato Hospital for 30 plus years, my mother a nurse, and the founder of Kote Pacifica. I'm the eldest of 9 children, all of whom went to school in Hamilton, and our children are now following suit. I've been a CEO 8 years, a lawyer for 14 years, and a director for more than 2 decades. I bring a unique blend of commitment to community, commercial acumen, and legal rigour. Thank you.
Fantastic to be here. I'm Sarah Thompson. I'm standing for Mayor and for the West Ward. I have been a councillor for 6 years. I chair our city's growth committee, and I've previously worked as a lawyer. I'm committed to expanding the work we do with other councils, to work together, to save money, to deliver residents value, to bring services in-house where it makes sense, and to ensure that we solve our really big challenge we face with our water infrastructure.
Thank you, Sarah. Wonderful.
I'm Rudy Deploy. I am mayoral candidate and also on the East Ward. The reason I'm standing is to stop our city from being totally destroyed. And you might say, gee, Rudy, that's really dramatic, man. But just think about your rates and where that's heading. And then you will get to a point that you say, Rudy, I think you are right. So I'm the guy that's actually going to make that stop. I'm 100% committed to you, the voters.
Thank you, Rudy.
And 0% intolerant.
Thanks. It matters who is elected mayor. I'm Roger Stratford. If you elect me, I will introduce a civic ballroom into Garden Place. The candidates who are standing for wards as well as mayor are disingenuous. Some candidates overexposed, and we've seen enough of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roger. I'll take the mic if you want. So these are your candidates. What we're going to do now is start here. Jack, what you're going to do is you're going to stand up, you're going to read out your question, including the number, and then your 90 seconds begins. Comfortable?
How will you keep...
Number?
Number 22. How will you keep rate manageable while trying to pay for everything? Rates are for services, and we need to balance that with the cost of assets, but we need to look at the assets that are vitally important. You might say the art asset down the road here. Also looking after the infrastructure and this sort of thing. But the basics to rubbish, water, roading and all this sort of thing, I think we need to sort of focus on those essential services. And right into debt management, because I think that if the debt gets too high, you could find BlackRock or some other foreign organisation come and pay it off. So we need to keep everything manageable, and primarily rates are for services, and we should only pay for the assets we really need, because I'm against wastage. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. Tim? Number first.
Yeah, number is 2. And the question is, what is one service you believe council should stop providing? Which is quite difficult, because most people tell us they don't want us to stop providing any services. But what we do need to do is ensure that we are focusing on delivering core services. So if it's not part of a core remit, I think we would have to say we can't afford to do everything that we are doing at the moment. It'll be controversial, but I would say we can't in Hamilton solve international climate change. So I would probably say be responsible, encourage personal responsibility for that, encourage people to make greater use of public transport, cycling and all the rest of it, but don't spend a lot of ratepayer money on something that is effectively not going to move the dial, but will cost you quite a lot of money as ratepayers.
Thank you, Tim. John?
Number 3, what is one service you believe council must protect at all costs? So I think we should be keeping the 3 waters in-house: drinking water, sewerage and stormwater. I think the new waters company was a terrible idea. The business case they put out in December to promote it was missing key details that should have gone out to the public, fairly comparing the options. It oversold the benefits of the water CCO, undersold the advantages of keeping it in-house. After the council voted, after the public consultation, we get a water service delivery plan from the new Water CCO Establishment Board. Then they tell us that they want to put the average cost of water per household up from $1,300 roundabout per household to about $4,300 in about 9 years. That table should have been up for public consultation before they started the Water CCO. Instead, Hamilton City Council put up this cute little cartoon with all these green ticks saying how wonderful the new Water CCO is going to be. So that deceptive, bad faith dealing with the public and potentially staff, bad faith dealing with the councillors needs to stop. We need to bring that Water CCO back in-house. I'm keen to put it to a referendum in 2028, but we are going to work hard to make that efficient and affordable in-house and take it to a referendum in 2028. If we lose water from council...
Thank you, John.
Mate.
Rachel.
Number 30, what is one action you will take to support small businesses that are struggling? So what is one action that you will take to support small businesses that are struggling? One action. So procurement is probably one of council's most powerful tools, and I would be looking to ensure that our procurement processes enable a fair look-in for our local businesses and to ensure that our local economy continues to thrive.
Thank you, Rachel. Short and sweet. We like that. Okay, Sarah.
"19. What is your plan to protect the Waikato River from pollution?" Thank you. Right now in Hamilton, when it rains, rainwater gets into our wastewater network. There are cracks in ageing pipes. Tree roots have made their way into our pipes. There are some illegal connections where stormwater from houses is actually connected into the wastewater, the sewage network. When it rains, it fills up with rainwater along with the wastewater that's in there, and we end up with overflows of sewage popping up out of manholes, popping out into gullies and streams in our city, and often you don't see it, but it ends up in the river. That is not okay. And that is why at the moment, a third of our city is actually closed basically to housing development while we work on fixing the infrastructure. There's $1.3 billion in the next 10-year plan to invest into wastewater, which is huge for a city of our size. And it is because we're catching up on a lack of investment in past decades to fix a problem we have right now, while also having to invest into ensuring we've got room for future growth. This is the biggest challenge our council faces, and we have to work really hard to actually talk with central government, because it's going to put a huge strain on our households in terms of affordability to be able to do this. Thank you.
Perfect. No, yes, passing it along to Rudy.
Thank you, Madam. Oops. All right. Okay, number 10. How will you fund infrastructure for 200,000 plus new residents by 2028? The answer is financial discipline. If we cut the way that we spend money on frivolous projects, blast outs on projects where we overshoot the agreed price on a project, those are the places that we first of all need to cut the expenditure, make sure that our procurement is correct and follows procedure, target our businesses in Hamilton to make sure we order our products and things that we require from companies within Hamilton. And once we have learned how to stop the wasteful spending, we will have enough money so that we can comfortably project what we need to do to house the extra 200,000 people and make them welcome and make them want to be in Hamilton.
Thank you, Rudy. Might just take that question if that's all right. Yes, yes. Got to keep it even. Got to keep it documented. Okay, you ready to go, Roger?
I certainly am. What will you, number 26, what will you do to ensure migrant and refugee voices are heard in council decisions? Number of women have been elected to the mayor in the past 20 years, 12 years, 15 years. I inspire young men, young migrant and refugee men to get out and about and to participate in the community. As mayor, we do not need to partner with central government. I will be undertaking funding through the local government funding agency through loans, and I support the water reform networks, the water reforms with the council amalgamation.
Thank you. Right, so we're back to Jack.
Yes.
And I'll take your slip. Thank you. So that was round one. How'd it feel, candidates? We're in the swing. We're all good. They have not seen the questions for those who have just come in. These are all very new to them. Dip your hand in the mighty plastic bowl. What number?
This is number 25. It's the same one I've had before. How will you reduce council debt without cutting essential services?
Your first one was number 22, which was how will you keep rates manageable while trying to pay for everything? Right. Okay. And this one is how will you reduce council debt without cutting essential services? No, give it back to me. Can't be doubling up. Yep. Good to go?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, the debt problem is obviously wastage and misspending money. And so we've got to do something about that debt because, I mean, the interest that's going on to that debt has been very exorbitant. How much is it a week? It sort of comes into the millions and being $2 billion in debt. So we need to work, possibly setting our own community banks that could be set up by the people where they have debt-free loans and they put their money into that particular bank. We need to look at alternative income streams. So we've got the money to support paying for services that are essential. And because I'm actually against the idea of being in debt, because I'm afraid that like some foreign organisation could come in and take full control of the council. And even the government's been talking about that. You know, they want to send in a commissioner from time to time, like what happened over in Tauranga. So being debt-free to me is essential. But essential services like taking care of the rubbish, taking care of the water,
Okay, Jack, thank
dealing
you.
with the potholes,
You're
and
done.
this sort of thing needs to be done. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. In a manner of speaking.
32, and the question is how we'll use technology to improve council efficiency. It's absolutely vital that we do that. AI, robotic automation processing are both tools that we must get to grips with quickly. The potential savings for ratepayers are huge. The potential increases in efficiency for council operations are huge. Of course, we are already embracing it in a small way. We really have to get into it in a much bigger way. And as I say, there will be huge increases in productivity and savings for the ratepayers. So it is a big part of the solution to the problem that we've been talking about our high level of debt. Over time, as this happens, I imagine that some people's jobs may be affected by that, but we have very capable people working in the council, and I believe that many of them will be able to be redeployed into other areas. And of course, there are a whole lot of jobs that will exist in 5 and 10 years from now that we can't even imagine. That's how quickly technology changes our world. So let's not be frightened of it. I believe that there's huge gains to be achieved through embracing it, and I will be looking to try to ensure that we do just that.
I'll take your question. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. John.
Question 35. Do you support retaining the Kirikiriroa Māori wards, or ward? I'm personally going to vote for removing Māori wards. It's not a major policy point for me, and I think it's dominating this election more than it needs to. There's a lot more unifying issues that we need to deal with in terms of sorting out council bureaucracy, keeping the rates increases down to single digits, and stopping the water company. My reason for voting to remove Māori wards is I think equality before the law is important and foundational in New Zealand, and I think it's divisive for governments to start discriminating against or for different racial, ethnic or identity groups. So that's my reasoning for that. If I have a bit more time, I could talk to you about postmodernism and how in New Zealand we're replacing equality before the law with equity. So if you hear the word equity mentioned in any documents, unfortunately these days that's a reference to basically postmodernist ideology that wants to replace, you have a simple system where the law or the government's meant to treat everyone the same, with a system where they're trying to redress historical injustices, real or perceived, by treating different groups differently, and I think that's a crazy path to go down, and we want to return to simple, equality-based government and law. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Rachel.
Number 31, how will you make Hamilton more competitive with Tauranga and Auckland? Hamilton's where it's at. I mean, if you think about where we are positioned, we are a stone's throw away from the largest city in New Zealand. We're a stone's throw away from Taupo and mountains. We're a stone's throw away from black sand and white sand. We're perfectly positioned to be the production engine for the country. We're perfectly positioned to be the agri-tech epicentre for the country, and perfectly positioned to be the nub for tourism in our region. We just need to be bolder in our aspiration and more planned in our thinking around growth.
Thank you. And on to Sarah.
Number 1, what is your top priority for Hamilton in your first year as mayor? Oh,
Thanks.
thank you. Right, my number 1 top priority is for our council to be able to provide better value in terms of the rates that we're paying while protecting the services that are really important for our city and to make Hamilton a great place to live. My plan is firstly to expand the work that we do, collaborating with other councils. So Waikato Council, Waipa Council, it could be other city councils, where we actually deliver things together. Right now, we already do some work together and it saves over $3 million a year, and that's just basic stuff like procurement, buying electricity together, and doing our water testing together. We are entering into a joint water company with Waikato District Council, and that is intended to save tens of millions on big infrastructure projects over the next 10 years. Let's do more, our rubbish and recycling. Let's do things like our road maintenance together. We have really similar businesses, our finance teams, our planning. We can collaborate and actually save money in these spaces. And I'd also like to look at us bringing services in-house where it makes sense. For example, our rubbish and recycling. Should we be paying an overseas company that takes its profits overseas, or should we be doing a core service ourselves as a Hamilton City Council? And finally, working hard with central government to ensure that we find some solutions to the big water challenges we face, because that is...
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Rudy, I told you I was going to be strict on time. Excited?
Number 12. What is your plan to keep housing affordable in Hamilton? And I give you that. Thank you. To keep it affordable is a big question. The simple reason is the companies that supply the materials to build houses, for a start, I think they're taking a really big chunk. I think their profit margins are high. So that's one of the things. The other thing is the red tape. Talk to developers and they will tell you that Hamilton is a hostile city for developers to develop new housing projects. The red tape, the time it takes to get things through and get sorted is astronomical. So some have actually left. I've got footage at home where one of the developers has categorically stated online that he is removing his company from this city because it's unattainable for his business. They make money. And if they can't make money, they will leave. They will go somewhere else. They'll go to Waipa or wherever. But they will leave us. So how do we fix this? We streamline what we do and get the consents ready and sorted quickly. Why should it take months and months and months? I mean, what happens to a piece of paper in months? I've always wondered about that. So let's stop that and just make it streamlined. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. And Roger.
What is one project you would champion that Hamiltonians could see and use within 3 years? Well, it's an easy one for me because the solution for Garden Place is long overdue, and just like to you all to appreciate that my answer to the migrant communities was rather short because I mistakenly thought we had 30 seconds. Realising now we have 90. Is to build a civic ballroom in Garden Place. This will be housed indoors. It's to receive some support from Jamie Strange. It'll be directly connected to this Hamilton Central Public Library. It'll be 400 square metres. It'll seat about 400 to 500 people. It'll be used for white tie events. It'll be one way in which celebrities such as Taylor Swift, who's coming to the Waikato Regional Theatre, or has been supposed to come anyway, the Prime Minister and other dignitaries used 3 or 4 times, 6 times a year. It'll also be used for school balls. So it'll be a wonderful addition to the community activities. Thank you very much.
Great, I'll take your question too. Yep, wonderful. So, Taylor Smith. Excellent vision. Okay, thank you, Roger. And that is round 2. You're done, Roger. Thank you. You can pass that on to Jack. And here we are, round 3.
Number 20, how will you make Hamilton more resilient to flooding and extreme weather? I think, like with the storms and everything we've been going through in terms of the destruction wrought through Gabriel and so forth, earthquake testing housing has been vitally important. In terms of civil defence, we need to step that up. I think they've got a new law, so they are more prepared for flooding and extreme temperatures that have occurred. I also think that we need to strengthen the river, like tree planting and this sort of thing. And but I think we need to wisen up also in terms of how we deal with our rubbish and make sure everything's separated in right places with like the food and this sort of thing. So we all need to be involved in climate change and being there for one another with the flooding and everything. And also our youth need to be brought into their own destinies by being aware of climate change and how they can protect one another in today's society. Okay.
Thanks, Jack.
Uh, 38. And the question is, what role do elected members play in promoting accurate, trustworthy information? Yeah. Well, here we are in the middle of an election campaign. You could possibly say, well, that's the least time that you're going to get that, because, of course, there are arguments going back and forth. But it is really important that we as elected members demand from our staff, demand's probably not the right word, require from our staff that we are being given the very best information available, that it is evidence-based, that the research has been done to ensure that we have what we need to make the right decisions, and then that we convey that information appropriately within our communities. And one of the roles that I would like to create, if I am given the privilege of being your next mayor, is for one of our elected members to have the responsibility for community engagement, so that we come out to you, that you don't just see us 2 or 3 months before an election and suddenly we go into hibernation for the remainder of the time. It is really important that we're out and about and we're able to discuss with you the issues of concern. And I don't mean that that would just be one elected member do that. I mean, one elected member would have the responsibility for coordinating all 15 to ensure we're getting out there. There are a number of different things that we do online. We need to ensure that we promote awareness of that. Stop producing a whole lot of glossy publications at huge cost that people don't read, and most of you are probably not even aware of them, and instead get accurate information for you online that is easily accessed.
Thank you, Tim. John, third question.
Okay, so number 9, how do you balance representing your constituents with the need to work collectively as a council? Well, hopefully those things aren't in conflict, but I think we'll discuss what happens if they are. So the views of the constituents should come first. I'm going to interpret council as including both staff and elected representatives there. So what me and the crews that I'm working for, working with on the east side and the west side, we're trying to get the majority on council as our primary goal, and we are going to protect the constituents from council bureaucracy, which is getting out of hand. We're going to bring the skills and the ability to council to second guess, to fact check, to review things that staff are bringing to us, and not just trust the experts and take their word for it. We're going to dig into the contracts and try and make those more efficient, and make sure that ratepayers are protected from budget blowouts. We're going to dig into the engineering reports and the designs and the consultation. Was the community genuinely consulted about that new speed hump going in or raised platform? If we want to put one in, does it really need to cost $500,000 or $700,000 or whatever they cost these days to put it in? And I think constituents need to come first. As representatives, we need to be representing them, and we need to be willing to push back against council staff, council bureaucracy, the consultants, and the wider bureaucracy down to Wellington and some of the lobby groups.
Thank you, John.
What helps you stay focused on shared community outcomes even when political views clash? Oh, sorry, number 5. Thank you. Focus on shared. Council is here to serve you, not suit itself. So, as mayor or as a councillor, our job would be to implement what it is that you want. So when it comes to services, one of the first questions I would be asking is, are council delivering the right services, i.e. the services that the people of Hamilton want? But then in terms of the second part of the question, even when political views clash, I've been raised in an environment where values of faith, service, hard work, unity, for example, are the foundations of well-being. So these are the things that I bring into every conversation that I have. That's it.
Thanks, Rachel. I'll pass on to Sarah.
Thank you. Number 27, what practical step will you take to improve accessibility for disabled residents? Right. I'm quite happy I got this question. This is something I'm personally very passionate about. It is so important that our city is inclusive, and that means, for example, that people who use a wheelchair or a mobility device can walk on our footpaths and without facing obstacles and barriers, that people can cross our roads, and that people can also access information in a way that is accessible to them as well. So something that we as a council have already done has been putting in accessible bus stops. We've been upgrading bus stops so that the buses can come straight up to them and they kneel and the ramp goes down and it's at the right gradient for people who are using mobility devices to then get onto the bus. We've also been committed to fixing the footpaths. The government cut nearly all of the money that we were expecting to receive in subsidy for fixing footpaths in its transport budget. And our council actually decided footpaths are so important that we will fund 100% of that by reprioritising our budgets. We've also been doing work on mobility parking, which is really important. So we've put in around 16 new mobility parks in the central city just recently, with more work to audit them and make sure that the mobility parks we have are actually safe and easy to use too.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Perfect timing.
Very good.
Yeah, getting better and better. All of you. Rudy?
Thank you, ma'am. This is a severe test that makes sure that you can actually read.
It's a good start if you want to be mayor.
36.
Number 36.
How will you strengthen council's partnership with Waikato Taunui? Okay, good question. Everybody's voice is incredibly important. One should never ignore what other people have to say. The fact that they have a say doesn't mean that they run the council. And any group that believes that they, whether it's cycles or dogs or whatever, that they have a right to run the council is just confused. The people who run the council are the councillors. Those are the people that you elect. Those are the people that carry the responsibility to make this a great city and make this a great council. So, you've got to look at creating an environment where people find it easy to come and discuss things with you. It doesn't matter whether you agree with them or don't agree with them. You will never learn how to run a city if you don't listen to people. So that's critical for us as councillors to listen to everybody's viewpoint. And again, I state, nobody runs the council except the elected members. And if you don't like the way they perform, man, next time around you just don't vote for them, eh? That's how it works. There you go, Roger. Thank you. Oh, you need this back.
I do. Yes, I know. Think of your steps you're clocking up, Rudy. It's awesome. Okay, Roger.
Number 7. Number 7. What strategies have you found effective for building trust across the council table? I'm not an elected councillor. I'm standing for an office. I've been attending meetings for 15 years, made public forum submissions. To address the question, in my observation, the best council outcomes come about. Now we're going to have a strong contingent of fiscally conservative candidates elected on the council for the first time. We're going to need a strong mayor to be able to make sure their voices are heard, but also to keep them in check. Because we haven't been used to that for quite some time. The council, the fiscally conservative portion of the council has been devoid of focus, and we need a strong mayor, and we need good councillors to make sure we work everything well together through cooperating with one another, and allowing others to have, everyone to have their say.
Thank you, Roger, very much. Wonderful. And that is the end of round 2. It takes us to 7 minutes to 12. We're going to be going to about 12:15, so we certainly have time for another round. Jack, if you'd like to dip into the bowl for your third question.
Number 16. How will you fund and maintain existing roads while building new ones? I think the government supplies us with a certain amount of money in terms of the roading, but I think doing potholes and basic roading structure is vitally important. This is where we've got consultants where we're paying high amounts to, and we're not sort of like if we could have our own employees doing the work without bringing in big-time consultants and paying them millions of dollars, that would actually halve the costs of doing the roading and such like. And I think the NZTA, we hand the contracts to them. I think council needs to have more of a hands-on approach with the roading that goes on around here, so we could actually keep the funding down to a minimum. So if we just hire people for to do the roading and then keep the amount we pay them down to a minimum. Because too long we've had these special contracts going and consultants making millions of dollars, but we're not providing funding to where the money should be going to.
Thanks, Jack. And Tim, fourth question.
Number 39. How will you help to build public confidence in council decision making? It does seem very similar to the previous one, but I appreciate it's a different question. I mentioned in my answer to a related question that I want to promote community engagement so that you actually know who we are, know what our priorities are, know the constraints that we're working under. We know that we are approximately $1 billion in debt. The figure's been debated quite a lot during the campaign, and I guess it depends on whether you include the waters component or not. But the point is, our debt has virtually trebled in the last 7 years. And that's why we're paying so much interest on that debt, and it's why your rates have increased so much that they are more than doubling inside a 5-year period, and none of you can expect an increase of that magnitude to your income. And you've got a whole lot of other cost of living pressures as well. So we need to be out there with you, talking about the priorities, understanding what matters most to you. All of us are committed to wanting to protect the core services that make ours an appealing city, our zoo, our libraries, museum, parks and gardens and so forth. But you know that we cannot afford to do everything given the dire fiscal position that we're in. And the elephant that has been in the room and during this campaign that is hardly ever being mentioned is that the current government intends to introduce rates capping. And whoever your mayor is and whoever the councillors are will have to come to terms with that reality very quickly.
John?
Question 34. How will you build relationships with the community? So I definitely don't want Hamilton City Council to have commissioners. It was terrible for Tauranga. It's basically dictatorship by a couple of government-appointed bureaucrats, and we don't want that. But one thing the commissioners did do well in Tauranga is they held clinics. So every fortnight or a couple of times a month, they would have these clinic times after Friday morning, and people could come in and talk one-on-one with councillors about their issues, their ideas, their gripes, their grievances, their problems. And I think that's a good system, so we should introduce something like that. We should have tours of the community houses and halls around the suburbs, so we have at least a couple of councillors going to each suburb, and again, so people can come in and talk to their councillors, positive ideas, suggestions for improvements, their complaints, their concerns about new projects, whether they want them or not. That needs to happen, and we need to do that routinely. Probably some online thing as well with video conferencing for people who don't want to get out at 7 p.m. on a cold winter's night to see the councillors, that they can come into some online thing and do a similar engagement. I think it's really important. Consultation needs to be genuine, and too often we have the situation where it seems, or it is actually the case, that council bureaucracy has decided on what the outcome's going to be, then they take it out to consultation, it's a token exercise, and the community knows that the big changes are not going to be allowed to be instituted. It's
Thank
pretty
you,
much a
John.
done deal.
Rachel, question number 4. Give it a good shuffle around.
Number 15, what's my plan regarding the city's cycling network? My view about cycling and other modes of transport is it's not an and/or, it's an and. We need an integrated transport system that responds to the diverse needs of our community and the diverse modes of getting around the city that our community uses. So we need an integrated transport system that prioritises balancing people's needs, that doesn't prohibit other important activities, and that's delivered within a budget, including cycling and all of that. Yep.
We'll master this by the end of the year. Yeah, come the last round. Mint.
How will you ensure rapid new housing developments include parks and community spaces?
The number?
And this is number 11. Thank you. Right, so you've got greenfield development where you end up opening up land where there's existing farmland, and then there's brownfield development, which is where houses are usually taken away and redeveloped. So there's two different approaches to both of those. For greenfield, what's really important is that for any new development, the developer has to put in all of the infrastructure required. Peacock has been a really expensive exercise for the city. It will be a great new subdivision for 20,000 new people, but as a city, we can't do that again. And Fast Track is allowing a bunch of new potential developments around the edge of the city, and the key thing is that we work with those developers to ensure that their planning is thorough, that they plan not only for the roads and the stormwater and the water, but they also plan for the parks. In terms of new brownfield areas, there will be a need for the council to buy some land within the central city north area. We have a plan for 10,000 residents to live here eventually within the central city. There's water reservoirs going in, water infrastructure going in, funded by central government, but we do need to ensure there are some neighbourhood parks and places for people to enjoy green space in a very built-up environment. Cool.
Right.
What could it be?
My age, 21. Why did you laugh? Right. Which local project would you prioritize to restore green spaces? Okay, let's hand that back to you. Hopefully green spaces would include our incredible Hamilton Lake. Hamilton Lake has become the Cinderella of our great city. I have no idea how we could allow that great asset to deteriorate to the state that it is in. The dragon boats came and gone. Why? Because the water is impure. Why do we not fix that? Because that's tough. Now, I want to tell you something. I am the mayoral candidate for the very reason that I have vision for our city, and I will lead us out of the slump into great victory in making the city fantastic. So one of the first things, and it's on my website, one of the first things that I've got on there is a Hamilton Lake project. It's actually a 10-year project. If I roll it out altogether, I probably, well, let's hope I'm still in council at that stage, in 10 years' time. Wow. We need to start with purifying the water in the lake again. We've got to find ways to do that, and that's how I think it's going to be a great start for our city. I'll go right here. Thank you.
Perfect. Quick learner. Thank you. Thank you, Rudy. Roger.
"24. What is one new revenue source you would explore beyond rates? Well, I support the local government funding agency and continuing with loans to support infrastructure for transport. I also support looking into the idea of introducing municipal tariffs for our own assets to be paid by people who come in and visit. We've started that with the Hamilton Gardens. We can keep up with that, and we can institutionalise it a little bit better, so that people who have lived here and worked their entire lives are rewarded and pay less for the assets of the community. And that people who come from outside who are recent visitors can pay a little bit more just to start with, because they came in here for something, and they should be quite happy to pay just a little bit more if they want to contribute to the city. I'm Roger Stratford. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger. Wonderful. Now, I'm just going to put my nose into the bowl and see, would you be up for another round if we have enough questions? Yes? One more round? Would you be happy with another round? Yeah. Okay. We've got plenty. 1, 2, 3. Yes, we've got heaps. Okay. This is going to be our 5th and final round. Thank you, Roger, very much. Yep. Go well.
What red tape would you get rid of immediately?
What number is that?
Number 33.
Okay, and no, you pass it to me.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get there.
I think the red tape on houses, like, with contractors coming in and do the work, It's where they actually try to say, like, you've got to do this and you've got to do that to meet all the requirements. I think that needs to be reduced down to where we look at the basic need, because with our homeless and with the 120,000 homes that are needed throughout the country, this is shocking. It kind of just looks after the rich and denies our ordinary families, because a lot of parents are actually living in cars now. So the more easier we can make accessibility to houses, the better off we will be. Because I think it's shocking that we can't even take care of our own people in our own community. And with Maori people, with Kaiangaroa, apparently they had a contract for 2,000 homes, and because of red tape, this was actually shut down. So the need to reduce red tape and make houses affordable for parents, who have children, and for people who need to have housing accessibility, to me, it's vital. We need to do that straight away.
Thanks, Jack. Tim, last question.
Really hope I get the one I want this time.
You don't know what the questions are, though.
No, I've got no idea.
What question do you
I keep on
want?
wanting to be asked about dangerous roundabouts, because it's a bit of a... Anyway, this is not a question about dangerous roundabouts. This is number 23. What is one area of council spending you would be prepared to cut? Well, that's quite similar to the one I had before about something that we don't do anymore. And I said at that stage we should not be spending a huge amount of money on reducing climate change, so I'll go on something else. I would like to ensure that we cut our spending on speed bumps and in-lane bus stops. We have decided we are not going on with any more in-lane bus stops. They should never have been installed in the first place, and they are really causing major disruption for very little benefit. And in fact, if you're stuck behind a bus going to the hospital in an ambulance, every second is critical. We have ruined many of our local roads for no good reason. Of course we want safety measures outside our kindergartens, primary schools, perhaps outside care facilities, but not in the haphazard way that they've been installed all over the city in all different shapes and sizes, so that you literally bump all around the city. And particularly out in some of our quieter suburban areas where they're on all corners of a corner on a roundabout, they are hugely expensive and absolutely unnecessary. They're a gift to those who are working in suspension and other car repair jobs, but they are causing huge pain for people who live with disabilities, and they are really an appalling decision that it was made. That's what I'd like to cut.
Thank you, Tim. Nothing winds people up more, does it, than a roundabout in a bus stop. Thank you, John.
Question number 13. How will you ensure infrastructure keeps pace with Hamilton's rapid growth? So currently out at Peacocks, the little 20-minute city suburb that they've created out there, I suggest everyone take a drive out there and see what that all looks like. Developer contributions are up at over $100,000 per dwelling. So that's probably, the developers are going to pass that on, and a first home buyer is going to get a tiny little place with very few car parks, and it's going to cost them, $700,000 or $800,000, and $100,000 plus of that's going to be developer contributions. So that is exceptionally high for other cities in New Zealand, where world leaders kind of in that kind of field. We need to reduce that down. I want to know where the economies of scale have gone. So having central sewage treatment and water treatment should be cheaper than going off grid. But at $100,000 per dwelling house, we could say, we'll halve that developer contribution, you put in rainwater tanks, you put in a self-contained sewage system, you go off grid, we can bulk purchase that at council and supply you with cheaper water tanks to do that. We should be considering that. Council won't want to do that, and the new water company definitely won't want to do that because it wants monopoly customers that it can just keep on increasing charges on. Going off grid is a threat to that monopoly. So I would be willing to facilitate that kind of thing. And we should have economies of scale. We need to know where those economies of scale, where that money's going. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Rachel.
I'll walk in the right direction when I've finished
You
this
promise?
time. Yeah, I promise.
Fifth time lucky.
Everybody. Number 14, what is one change you would make to improve Hamilton's bus system immediately? One thing that came up in one of our campaign meetings at a rest home was the fact that there was no bus stop outside their rest home, and there was a bus stop outside a school, which didn't make sense to these elderly people that the young kids could actually walk a few hundred metres to the bus stop, and meanwhile they, with their walking frames and wheelchairs, were required to try and get themselves down the road to the bus stop so they could get out and do activities. So that's one thing, just thinking about where our bus stops are best positioned, but also more frequent buses so that we get more people on them, because at the moment I'm not sure they're being used to maximum efficiency.
No. But I do need your piece of paper. There we are. I knew you were coming to me for a reason.
It's natural to want to walk that way. Can you think of a time when collaboration with someone you disagreed with led to a better decision for your community?
Ooh, number
8. Here we go. Number 8. Actually, I can think of lots of times where I've worked together with councillors who on other issues I frequently disagree with. And to give a good example actually is around transport. There are no more inlane bus stops planned, and we've now moved to designs that largely remove the need for raised platforms. So there was a debate, however, at one point around, do we invest in safety at all, or do we fully cut the budget to improve the safety on our roads? And that was a debate that happened at our long-term plan. And part of that was because there was this false black and white argument that it was either you invest in safety and put in a bunch of speed humps, or you just have to do nothing at all. Actually, there was common ground that we could find. And since then, most councillors have been able to agree on transport projects because we've been able to achieve both safety and respond to community feedback that they don't like so many of these speed humps and they don't like the inlane bus stops. We actually achieve both. And that takes actually stepping back, listening to each other, and recognising that while we might brass each other off a lot of the time, you still have to make sure you listen, because people have legitimate views to bring to the table, and it's bringing those together that brings the best decisions for our city.
Thank you, Sarah. Rudy, you're back.
Right. Now, this is actually a real serious test for candidates. You've got to take the piece of paper. You've got to read the number first. Oh, you start with the microphone, sorry.
Yes.
And then read the number, 28. Then read the question. How will you support youth to participate in council decisions? Great question. Then I've got to remember to give you the piece of paper back. Then I've got to move to the centre and tell you, and then you forget what the question is.
And now the clock starts.
Right. I want you guys to have fun, although this is very serious. How do you get the youth to participate in what we do? I had a conversation with somebody outside before we started. He said, look, I got 2 grown-up kids. They're at uni. They got their packs. And I asked them, when are you going to vote? And he said, Dad, what's the use? What's the purpose? So we have a critical issue that our youth don't see any reason why they should come and vote for anybody to take the city on a ride. And I use that reservedly. We don't like to take you for a ride. So How do you get, it's a mind shift thing. And I think, not only think, it's true that our unis and places of instruction, schools, etc., need to start early and create a desire in our youngsters to actually become involved in the political process. If we don't do that, we will, again, in 3 years' time, ask the same question, get the same dumb answers, because there is no real answer until we learn to address the issue at the root. Thank you so much. Oh, I got to remember this. Yeah, oh. That's a big test.
It's always in the finish, Rudy. That's it. And Roger.
$17. How will you improve the safety of Hamilton's busiest intersections? This is a question needs to be addressed. All intersections are inherently risky. I see young mothers irresponsibly pushing prams across busy suburban motorways. Residents are not taking account of what we already have to crossings and so on. All we need to do is to slow traffic down a bit. We need to put our place in raised platforms, more raised platforms. People talk about inane bus stops. I'm a regular bus user, I'm yet to find one inane bus stop. They just simply don't exist where I travel. We need more of those. We need general transport improvements across the city to slow traffic down on the main roads. So that when the people do come up to the intersections, they will be prepared to slow down and would make the intersections much safer.
Thank you, Roger, very much. Excellent. Okay, I'll take the microphone if you'd like, Roger. Done? So now I have a question for you. Has this been helpful? Has it been insightful? I've certainly said these candidates' names enough times so at least you can put a name to a face. I'd like to thank all the candidates, wish you well for the remainder of the campaign and, of course, the election result. Thank you also to the Hamilton City Council for organising what I think is a very important event. Voter turnout, as you know, last local body, not that flash, it was late 20s. So here's to over 30% turnout this time round. And thank you very much for coming and engaging in this important piece of democracy. The future of Hamilton, basically, it lies in your hands. Vote, and importantly, tell your friends and your family to vote. Good luck, candidates. Thank you very much.